Welcome to The Birth Breakdown, a mini-sode series from Her Birth, Her Story. These short episodes are here to open conversations around pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. Things I believe that every woman deserves to look into, to question, and just to feel empowered by. This isn't about telling you what to do, what's right, or what's wrong. It's about giving you space to think, to learn, and to ask questions, to just trust yourself a little bit more as you prepare for your birth. So let's break it down. So, on today's episode of the Birth Breakdown, we are going to be jumping into food aversions and cravings. Last week, we talked about nauseousness and vomiting, which is a lot of women experience that in the first trimester, and definitely these aversions and cravings can also add to that fire as well. And it can be very hard. One day, you're craving tacos, and then the next day, the smell of your husband's breath literally makes you want to throw up. Is that normal? And do your pregnancy cravings and aversions actually mean something? Well, we are going to jump into a little bit of that today. Things that you should just look into when it comes to your specific cravings and aversions. So, a lot of times we're always wondering, like, why do these aversions and these cravings really happen? Well, let's jump into the food aversions first. Just remember, and we talked about this last week too, which also contributes to your nauseousness and your vomiting, but your HCG is rapidly rising, especially in the first trimester, and your estrogen also changes during this time, which we also talked about, which, guess what? That changes your sense of smell. If you're ever wondering why all of a sudden when you're pregnant, you feel like you can smell something like 50 miles away, well, that's why. So your taste buds are also changing, just like everything, basically everything on you, head to toe, is changing because your body is now gearing up to build and house a human while also taking care of yourself. And it takes a lot for that to happen. And your aversions as well, which we talked about a little bit last week, but it actually might be a protective measure that your body is undergoing so that you can avoid foods or things that are more likely to carry bacteria or even toxins. Now we're going to kind of jump into the cravings. And if you have ever been pregnant or if you currently are pregnant, you might be able to relate that pregnancy cravings are different than just like, that sounds good, like ice cream. Yeah, the ice cream sounds good. Yeah, well, when you're pregnant and you want ice cream, you have to have it. And husbands, if you are tuning in at all and listening with your wife right now, just know that yes, we appreciate all the help and support of ice cream, though, isn't healthy. Are you sure you want that? We appreciate that. But when we're pregnant, it's almost a need. It's not a want. It is a, we think about it all day. Because, like, for me, every single time that I have a pregnancy craving, I literally think about it all day, and that specific thing makes my mouth water, and I just want it, and everything else sounds awful, and everything else makes me feel like I want to vomit. But that craving, when it hits, it hits. And I can't explain it because it's not the same when you're not pregnant. It's just these cravings that are just like, sometimes I feel like they are just controlling your stomach. And it is that craving is the only thing that will satisfy it. There are a few different theories or research things that you could obviously look into if you are very curious about these things. But some things that contribute to cravings are obviously your hormonal changes. This also factors into the things that sound really good to you and that don't. Also, your emotional comfort. If you're vomiting a lot, you obviously are going to probably crave more of those plain foods anyways, and everything else is going to sound gross because a lot of times you think about, dude, if I vomit this up, that ruins it for me. So then you stick to the breads, the crackers, the bananas, the bone broth, the soups, more of like the plain foods, I guess. Also, just remember, like I have said many different times on multiple episodes, your body is now working to grow a human, house a human, and still function and be able to grow yourself. So you have a lot of things going on. So your caloric needs do increase even though you're nauseous and you feel like you're not eating a lot, but that might mean that now you're just eating less at one time and just more frequently throughout the day. And the other thing, too, and even though there is mixed research on this, but I really do think that it makes perfect sense in my brain, but that when you crave certain things, it could be showing you that you have possible nutrient deficiencies somewhere. Now, once again, I said there is mixed research. Obviously, I feel like if you are more holistic minded, you're probably going to be like, oh, wow, that makes sense. If you're more medical minded, it might be a little bit more like, I don't know. But there is research on it and it is mixed both ways. But some examples that are widely used are that if you are craving red meat, then you are iron deficient. If you are craving dairy products, you need more calcium. If you are craving chocolate, you need magnesium. But that is not an excuse to just go eat a bunch of chocolate. So don't do that. But it is something to look into. These are all things that are not definite, but things that you could go get blood work or different testing done to see if you are low in those things. Also, if you're craving ice, they normally say that you are also iron deficient. And if you're doing that a lot, definitely go and get evaluated for that. And if you are craving things that are not food, like dirt flay, laundry detergent, stuff like that, definitely make sure you reach out to your provider because there are some deficiencies there that need to be evaluated. From a holistic perspective, instead of just always satisfying your cravings, which once again, in pregnancy, I know especially that first trimester, because when you are craving something and you have been nauseous and sick and just kind of like horizontal all day, and when you're craving something, you want it. And it's not saying that you can't give in to them, but you should also be looking into some of these other things, like asking, why is my body craving this? Is there a reason? Have I had enough protein today? What really has my nutrition looked like? Am I prioritizing protein? Because that is key to balance that blood sugar as well. And is my blood sugar balanced, or do I feel like I'm having those spikes that I don't normally have because of the way that my cravings are? And also make sure that you're eating nutrient dense foods, because that is a way that maybe if you prioritize more of those nutrients, maybe you're not having those wild cravings as well. Now, just like I said, from a medical diagnosis, you might not really personally equate what you're craving to things that you're lacking. And once again, that's okay. But just like I say too, blood work is always the best way to know if you're deficient. Now, the only thing I will say to look into a little bit is when you get your blood work done, you want to make sure that you are working with a provider who is going to measure up your blood work, not just against like a normal person, that is also measuring up against a person in that trimester. Because as you grow through pregnancy, the normal changes a little bit. And so you just want to make sure that if you do get tested for those, and you can get tested to see your vitamins and minerals, but that is going to be something that you're going to have to ask additionally. It's not just something that they're going to do, but like iron, that's normally already part of your blood work that they take anyway. But if you wanted to get more in depth, it's probably going to cost more because everything costs more when you request. But you could just always say, like, hey, I'm having these cravings. I think that it could be XYZ. Could we add this to my blood work since I'm already getting it taken? And there you go. Our bodies as women are just so incredibly intelligent. But especially in this first trimester, it is also being flooded with so many hormones and hormonal changes and just changes in general. And if this is your first baby, your body has never experienced this. So you're going through all of these things, and I know you're questioning like, oh, is this normal? Like, should I feel like this? Should I be craving this? So take a deep breath and just know cravings are normal. Aversions are normal. And for me, for all of my pregnancies, the number one thing that I had the biggest aversion to was coffee. Couldn't smell it, couldn't look at it. And while I'm making my husband's coffee, I'm literally gagging because it doesn't smell good. It definitely doesn't taste good. And it's really sad, especially because at that point in pregnancy, I'm so exhausted. I could use some caffeine, but I feel like my body, it's a protective means too, especially during that first trimester. I feel like your body goes into ultra protective mode because there's a lot going on. And so I feel like that's why that's one of my biggest aversions that I have had throughout all of my pregnancies. But just remember, your body is incredibly intelligent as a woman, but it's also being flooded with so many hormonal changes that can be really overwhelmed. That can be really overwhelming. So just listen to it. Don't just assume that every craving is a diagnosis. And it's okay to give in to your cravings. Okay. I don't want anyone to think like, oh, I can't have any of these unhealthy things because it's not healthy. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't live off that. But also in the first trimester, sometimes survival from day to day is just how it is because of the nauseousness, the aversions, the cravings. Sometimes it is very plain, but really just try to prioritize nutrition though when you can. Try the best that you can to nourish your body because guess what? You're doing hard things, growing a human, and still taking care of yourself all at the same time.
If this episode sparked curiosity, affirmed something you've been feeling, or just gave you a whole new perspective, I'd love for you to share it with another mom or mom-to-be who might need it. Make sure you're following Her Birth, Her Story, and if you feel called, leaving a review is one of the best ways to support this space. And it just helps these conversations to reach more women. Until next time, remember this is your body, your baby, and your birth. We are reclaiming birth one story at a time. I also want to add this disclaimer that this is not to be taken as medical advice. Please make sure that if you are seeking medical advice, then reach out to your own provider so that you can figure out what is best for you.